Welcome to the new normal. This is a series where we talk to people about how their lives have changed since we all went fully remote, how their jobs have changed, and honestly, just how they're doing. Stay tuned for more on our new normal. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the new normal. I am here with Beth Hyland today, who's going to talk to us a little bit about the change she's seen with events. So Beth she runs our events team here at QuickBase. So if you could tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do, Beth.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Beth Hyland, and as Shannon just said, I lead our events team. We're a pretty small and mighty team. So with on my team, there are 4 other members, and we host our annual user conference, Empower, but we also host many of our community summits and our presence at third-party trade shows.
Yeah, so I really wanted to talk to you today. I know that the rest of the group thinks this is really important to talk about. So Empower is coming up, and your team has had to completely and totally adapt the way that you work. So how was that process, right? When we went remote, you found out all events were no longer going to be live. Like, what were the first conversations like, and how has your team really adapted since then?
Yeah, I mean, the team has been great. Of course, I would be lying if I said we didn't have a mourning period. The team is definitely people that are usually out on the road. We like face-to-face events. We're definitely more extroverts, like to be amongst the people. So I'd be lying if I said there was no mourning. But then the team really took it on as a challenge to overcome and really think about what are the experiences that we're building and how can we still bring those to our customers and to prospects to really experience QuickBase and to learn from each other. So the team is really hinged on what are those experiences that we create at live events and how can we do that virtually. The team is we're learning new technologies, definitely learning, in events, you always have backup plans and they seem much easier when you're in person. You're like, well, we'll just move the people to another room if the AV is not working in that room. Definitely doesn't work that way in the virtual world. So I think just thinking through all of the problem solving and all of the different scenarios. So really just trying to think digitally and how are we going to still enable, the networking and the ability for people to learn from each other. And again, at the core, really just the experience that we try to build. How can we replicate that in a virtual world?
I know you guys have been sort of pivoting constantly and having tons of conversations about what is really the best. I love that you talk about experiences because I think that's really it, right? Like, what's the best experience that we can give people right now? Because it's not like anyone in the world is going to an in-person event. It's not just us. It's everybody. So to pivot to Empower, what are you most excited about, and what are you most nervous about hosting this is your first big full scale virtual event, right? So
yes.
What are you excited about? What are you nervous about?
Definitely excited about the possibility of still bringing the community together. So really, the high that we get at Live Empower is seeing all of the friends come together that over the years have met with each other, networked with each other, and still being able to do that. Yes, it's going to be a little bit different, but we still have the ability to bring the community together and to learn. And I'm also really excited about the content. We have some great content planned for this year. And, I do think Empower is a little different than some other conferences in that our attendees really come for the content. Our sessions are usually jam-packed and people want to stay after and ask questions and they seek out the speakers in the exhibit halls. And we're really doing our best to enable that. So just excited that we are going to be able to, bring that to life. It's got to be a little different, but the ability to do so is still there and really just bring the community together. I think the thing keeping me up at night is definitely the technology and all of the different, pieces that we're pulling together and just making sure we do have a plan B and a plan C of if one technology is not working that day and it's out of our control, what are we easily going to flip to? If this experience isn't working for the group, what's the backup for that? Can we push them to our community? We're going to be opening a public Slack for the first time. So also, just trying to get engagement there and utilize it. But I think we're going to learn along the way, and especially during those 2 days of Virtual Empower, of what's working, what's not, how can we, quickly transition to what is working within that time period. So it's just having all the different scenarios in place and just making sure we're thinking through all of them.
Yeah, I know you guys are so detail oriented. So I'm sure this is just like a whole nother set of details that you have to just worry about, which I trust that you guys have it 1,000% under control, but it does seem like a little bit crazy in such a short amount of time.
It is, but it's been a great learning experience, and I think something that is great for the team and great for our growth and really thinking about the future. But yes, it's definitely been a learning experience for us too.
So what advice, this may be a little bit premature because we haven't held the event yet, but what advice would you give to sort of other events teams right now that are trying their best to pivot and be creative but also still be really, structured and detail oriented and all the things that you need to be as an events, team? Like, what advice would you give that you've learned over the last few weeks working with your team?
I would say really think about the event that you've created live and sort of why do people come? Why has it been successful around sort of what you've built? And how can you best deliver that virtually? And I think a tough thing for us is some of the pieces of Empower, we had to make the tough decisions that they weren't going to have the same experience virtually. And that, with the short turnaround time, it wouldn't be a good experience to recreate it virtually. So we sadly did have to give up some components of Empower that we do love. But really tried to focus on sort of what are our top values that we're trying to have people walk away from the event with, and how can we best bring those best pieces of our live event that we've created to life digitally. So what were, our priorities? We definitely have a list of top 5 priorities, and really focusing there and being realistic about what is possible.
So if you wanted our viewers to know, like, I know you just talked about top 5 priorities, but like top 3 things about Empower this year, or whatever number you want to choose, what would you want them to know?
Yeah, I think it's, just building upon what we've built and what we know people love. So it's definitely bringing, the whole community together, and everything that comes along with that. So we're definitely still building in surprises. So we like to build in those experiences every year where we're surprising people on site and doing delights. So that's a big one. And definitely the content. I think, again, I know I stated it, but a lot of our community and builders come for the content. And the content is really strong this year. And we have some really exciting product announcements that people will be really excited about. So getting them in product, teaching them how to do it, having them learn from others, how they're utilizing the new releases. So I'd say top 3 is, definitely engaging with the community, some of our product announcements, and then just in general, our, lineup of content.
So this is the time in the interview where I'm going to ask you too, how you're doing. So I know you are someone that was really comfortable working remote before. You were part-time remote already. But how has this been for you? I know you have a little one at home, and life in general is very different for everyone right now. So how are you doing?
Yeah, it was funny when we first went remote. I was kind of like, oh, well, I've got this down. I work remote, part-time anyways. I'm only in the office usually 2 days a week. I think there was like a honeymoon phase for like those first 2 weeks. But then it started getting real of, wow, I really miss actually my time in the office, and really like doing the 50-50 split of, because I think I am sort of in the camp. I believe you can get so much done at home without the distractions. But there's also something about being live, you know what I mean? And I feel that same way about live events. There's always going to be the value of being live. I think QuickBase has done a great job of transitioning to virtual. But yeah, definitely would be lying if I said I didn't miss, driving down to Boston, bopping into the office, and just like being social.
Yeah.
I definitely have distractions at home. I have a 2.5-year-old who
different kind of distraction.
Different kind of, I mean, it's great being able to spend this extra time with her, especially when she's so little. Yeah. But she's also very social and was used to going to daycare and playing with other kids. So it's been a little bit of a rodeo, but overall we're doing well, being able to be outside with the weather changing up in Maine. So just doing our best to stay positive, and my husband's been great. We've been doing sort of taking shifts of watching our daughter and just trying to make the best and doing social distancing. So overall, we're definitely doing pretty well, but definitely a transition.
Good to hear. Yeah. So can you remind our audience the specifics about Empower, dates, times, where they can find it?
So Virtual Empower is happening June 2nd and June 3rd. Registration is free. So please join us if you go to quickbase.com/empower for registration. We are kicking off on Tuesday with the product keynote. And as Jay and team would say, all of our product goodies. Mm-hmm. And then rolling into sessions. And we will absolutely be having surprises throughout the day to keep everyone engaged and just to build the energy and introduce anyone that may be joining us for the first time into the QuickBase community. And then Wednesday morning, we're kicking off with networking sessions. Well, actually some yoga. And then networking sessions, and going into 3 more breakout sessions. And then we'll be finishing the day on Wednesday with our announcement of where we'll be for Empower 2021. So very exciting. Definitely people will not want to miss that.
Well, to all of you out there, we are excited to see you at Virtual Empower. We better see you there. It's free. You're home. Please come. So, and also like and subscribe on our YouTube channels so that you don't miss any episodes of The New Normal and you don't miss any content from Empower. So we will see you next week for our next episode. Bye. Okay, hold on. I have to close my windows. Also, getting this cat off of here is going to be impossible. So we'll see how this goes. Okay. Merlin, I know, sweetie, I know. If he jumps back up, we'll make it in the bloopers, Dan, and I'll just stop and then start again. When Allison sent me the email, I was like, obviously, why didn't I think about that? There's just too many things running around in my head at any
I know, I pinged her. I was like, did you sign me up for The New Normal? She was like, yeah. I was like,
she sent the funniest, most Allison email of all time.